You've said in the last day or so that we risk having won the health battle, risk losing the economic longer-term war when it comes to the borders.
Well, that's right, Kieran. I mean, undoubtedly Australia's done very well. Anyone can see that on the health front for a whole variety of reasons. We are an island, after all, which gives us a head start above many others. But being an island too means that we have to keep our economy moving and keep it open. And the concern from business and the broader community, parts of the broader community here, is that the longer we remain closed off, walled off from the world, the deeper the economic impacts will quite simply be forgotten about. And I think there's a whole range of medical advisors, Nick Coatsworth among them, among many others, who are coming to the same conclusion that COVID is not going away. The vaccinations will help, but they won't be a silver bullet. But at some point we do need to re-engage, and the longer we take, the real risk is that we will get left behind. The UK is about to reopen, all things being equal. The US is the same. They all have a strategy to get open. We don't have that in Australia. And investment, students, tourists, they'll all go elsewhere. And that's going to be a big danger for us as we emerge from this.
The New South Wales government has set a target of 5 million vaccinated before it starts to look at the reopening policies. Do you welcome the fact that they've set a target? Should other governments follow suit?
Well, I think what Dominic Perrottet and others, the Premier as well, have been indicating is that they do want to get open as quickly and as safely as possible. And you don't have to compromise, one for the other here. We all get the health issues. But there's two messages going on here from government which are confusing people. One is we have to go and get vaccinated, but even after we do get vaccinated, we're still not allowed to go anywhere, and that's a confusing message. So we do need to have that roadmap that we're all talking about and hoping for, so that business can get on with it, and the community can get on with it too. So no matter what targets they set, it's really important that they stick to them. And right through COVID, we've seen targets set and dropped by various governments, promises made and then dropped by various governments. And we just would hope that we can come out of COVID better than and more united than how we went in. That's the key point here.
Well, one of the inherent challenges, I guess, that emanates from the health success is a lack of urgency on the vaccine response, because people think, well, we don't have it, the community transmission, unlike other nations, so they're not that fussed about rushing to get the jab.
Well, that's right. It's a bit of chicken and egg here, Kieran, but we don't want another outbreak here and then find that, big proportions of the population haven't prepared for it. And we're going into winter, and we've seen in the Northern Hemisphere that's when the risk is highest, although there's some medical advice that the Indian variant, does better in warmer weather than cold weather and all of that going on. But we need to be prepared, undoubtedly on the health front, but we also need to be prepared on the economic front. This used to be a health battle and an economic battle. It seems now that we have sort of slipped into a culture of elimination and the gilded cage, and we've forgotten about the economic front as well.
Now, you are someone that has worked as a diplomat. You've made some remarks in the last week or so about the China debate. What's your thinking about where we're at on this? I know that as soon as people question the security mantra in this debate, people go, well, they're a vested interest, it seems like there's quite an irrational response to some of this from various elements of the debate, which is worrying.
Well, that's right, Kieran, and this is another two-sided coin. Like everything, is security and economics. And I don't think anyone's saying, in fact, we're saying exactly the opposite, that we have to forego our values. In fact, we have to stand up for our values and our principles. But we have to understand too that China has different interests to us, has different aspirations to us. But we still will need them as a key economic partner, whether we like it or not. They are our biggest trading partner. But what is not helpful in the debate from the security side of things is inflamed language, we had the drums of war rhetoric a week or two ago. That doesn't help. It's not helping anyone. And what business is saying to us is that we need to keep on trading with China. We also need to diversify away from China, but we don't need to do anything to sort of ramp up the rhetoric around conflict. And look, things could get worse. They could get far worse. We all know that, Kieran. We've seen, most lately that the Chinese are starting to target or moving to target our dairy sector. We know things could get worse, but we need to try to find our way to navigate our way through this and not sort of jump to war and conflict as the first stop. That needs to be the last thing that we talk about or consider, and it doesn't help the public debate to have that sort of language. So let's just stick to diplomacy, using our links, negotiation and working it through, trying to keep our economy going while dealing with what is a pretty difficult security situation.
Exactly, and that sounds pretty pragmatic and realistic to me, and far from being ignoring the flaws or the problems. It's actually dealing with it, but without hyping it up. I think it makes sense. Now, your super bill, you're saying it should be rejected along with the ACTU. Can you explain your thinking on this? Because for you to align with the unions is not, it's not the typical bedfellow. Talk us through it.
Well, no, a lot of people think that, but we do have a lot to do with unions. We're dealing with them every day. And look, on this issue, we have concerns particularly around the powers it gives the Treasurer, no matter who the Treasurer is on any given day, to direct super funds on how to invest. And that sort of gets pretty right into the area around political interference in financial markets and how super funds invest. And we don't think that's in anyone's interest for that to happen. Super fund members are looking to their funds to invest in the best interests of them as members. And I'll declare here, I'm the Deputy Chair of Australian Super. So, but where we're at here is that this bill is clearly an attempt by the government to rein in super funds who, for some reason, they don't particularly like, and for various reasons they don't particularly like, to rein them in and basically to exert more control over what they do with their money. And we think that's just the bridge too far. There hasn't been a proper scrutiny of the legislation. There wasn't a regulatory impact statement done here, which would have teased out a lot of these issues. And that's why we've gone to the crossbench and say, as the bill stands, we believe it should be rejected. That doesn't mean that we're opposing regulation. There's a lot of regulation on super funds, but it's the type of controls that are trying to be put in place here, which we think in the end will be detrimental to members' interests, to taxpayers' interests as well.
Willox, as always, appreciate your time, CEO of the AI Group. Thanks.